This myth is pervasive and I have no idea who started it. I don't know where this rumor started, but I tend to hear a lot from people about the elusive serger. There's a lot of mystery surrounding the serger, also known as the overlocker or overlock machine. And today we're going to talk about what it does and dispel some rumors about the serger. Sergers. That's what I feel like people are like sometimes. Here's what a serger does. If you have any kind of commercially manufactured t-shirt item in your closet, you have evidence of what a serger does. A serger is a 3 or 4 thread machine. You can use it either way. Basically what it is there's 2 needle threads, 1 or 2 needle threads, and then 2 looping threads, an upper looper and a lower looper. And what these do is they interconnect with each other, enclosing the seam in thread, so that way the raw edge of the fabric isn't exposed. If you look on your t-shirt item on the inside, where the sleeve is attached to the body of the shirt, you'll see some serging. You might even see some on the side seam or on the shoulder seam as well, depending on the shirt. That's what a serger does. It can also make rolled hems, which are those super teeny tiny skinny, completely covered thread hems that you see on chiffon or other sheer skirts. It also can make lettuce edging, which if you were a young girl in the 90s, you know what lettuce edging is because you had a shirt with lettuce edging on it. I promise you, you had one. You might not think you did, but you did. I don't know why lettuce edging is so popular on baby clothes, but it is. It's here to stay. Lettuce edging for everyone. It also helps provide a seam with some stretch, which is why you see it on your t-shirt. Those interlooping threads help provide more flexibility and elasticity in the stitch. That way you're not trying to put together a stretch material with a straight stitch, and because there's not enough thread to compensate for the stretching, it breaks apart and then the thing comes apart. That's what serging prevents from happening when you're working with stretch materials. I have seen entire sets of wrestling gear put together with just the zigzag stitch. No serging in sight. I have seen commercial leggings on the floor of a store with just the zigzag stitch. No serging. Completely put together with just the zigzag stitch. You do not need a serger to sew stretch materials. Also, here's what a serger doesn't do. It doesn't magically make sewing stretch materials easier. 90% of what I do with wrestling gear is done using a zigzag stitch. When it comes to actual construction of gear, all the applique, all the top stitching, all of the hems, all the waistbands, that stuff is done with a zigzag stitch. The serger only comes into play at the seams. The clothes by nature don't have that many seams in them, and you don't really need a serger to do those seams. You could do those seams with a zigzag stitch or with your overlock stitch on your machine. You might even have an overlock foot for your machine depending on what year the machine was made and what brand it is. You absolutely right now could put together a pair of leggings on your home sewing machine. It might not be the easiest thing you've done in your life, but it's possible. I don't like putting together wrestling gear without a serger because the stretch of those seams and the strength of those seams really is vital for the type of work that I'm doing. People are sometimes getting thrown by these garments, then they have to be washed and thrown into bags and just all this stuff. Like, wrestling gear goes through a lot, and in order to make sure that these clothes can take that beating, I want to have everything I can in the fight against gravity and time and the strength of these athletes. Basically what I'm trying to say is the serger unfortunately isn't a magical golden ticket to sewing stretch materials. It takes a lot of time and effort to learn how to navigate the malleable nature of these fibers, and sometimes it's a process I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. But then you get to see something you made do a 450 in the middle of a wrestling ring with the spotlight on them, and it's just, the thrill is too good. So if you did want to make a pair of wrestling tights for someone on your home sewing machine, I wouldn't blame you. I hope you aren't as afraid of your serger and you aren't as confused by them as you once were, And I hope that I see you in the comments below talking about what other sewing myths you maybe want me to bust. I could bust some sewing myths. I could bust some myths. Let me know about the myths you want me to bust in the comments below. Or you can shout them out to me over on Twitter and Instagram at Closet Champion, or me personally at I am Kate Nix. And if you're still jonesing for the Nix fix, you can find me on Patreon, patreon.com/closetchampion for behind the scenes on Behind the Seams. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you later. I don't know how familiar this is. Like, I don't know if this is a winking situation or a kissing situation